to a Friday out of your schedule and spending it with us here. We're going to go around and do some introductions, and I'll start with myself. I'm Uma Henman. I'm the project coordinator for the plan update, and I'm also the municipal services work group coordinator. I'm going to introduce some other folks, and then we'll do around the room. Randy Wilson is the project manager with Plymouth County Planning Department and the Flood Control District. We have some coordinators here. We have Kirsty Jameson is our agricultural land stewardship coordinator. And Terry Rust is our floodplains, meadows, and water bodies work group coordinator. Leah Wills is our uplands and forest. And then we have Trina Cunningham is our coordinator for the Tribal Advisory Committee. We have a part of our team is Zeke Lunder. He's doing the video and recording today, and he's also the mastermind behind all the mapping you see. Am I missing someone from the team? I think that's it. So we have, so I guess we'll go around really quick, and everyone can just say their name, and you can say the work group you're with if you'd like to. And Robert, we'll start with you, because you're right here.
Good morning, Robert Meacher with the City of Portola Municipal Work Group.
Hi, Jonathan Cusel, Sierra Institute for Community and Environment, Uplands and Forest.
Good morning, Frank Monskis. I'm with the Plymouth Eureka CSD and also the municipal group.
John Sheehan, Forestry and Uplands.
I'm Ron Lunder, represent the Mountain Meadows Conservancy from Westwood and involved with the Meadows Work Group.
Hello, I'm Nils Lunder. I work with the Mountain Meadows Conservancy and the Feather River RCD. I've been attending the Ag and the Meadows Work Group.
Mike Green, East Quincy Services District. Charlie Flopper, Mountain Meadows Conservancy and Lake Almanor Watershed Group and the Meadows.
Aaron Sandell, Lake Almanor Watershed Group.
Susan Coffey, Westwood CSD Municipal.
Carl Phelps, Log, Chairman of the Floodplains, Meadows and Work Group, and I also attend the Forestry Work Group.
Cindy Noble, and I'm on the Meadows Work Group.
Holly George with Cooperative Extension, and I'm with the Ag Work Group.
Willa Vieira, from the Sierra County Ag Department, Ag Group.
Already got me?
How do I introduce myself?
Mike Jackson, Forest and Uplands Group.
Oh.
Now you can go.
Well, I didn't want to get in front of you,
Be careful.
Russell Reed Management Group. That's what, is that good?
That's good, thank you.
Follow the lead.
Terry Schwafford, Board of Supervisors here.
Joe Hoffman, Soil and Water Program Manager for Plymouth National Forest, advisory to the management.
Sherry Thrall, Board of Supervisors, and also Chair of the Management Group.
Tim Gibson, Agricultural Commission for Plymouth and Sierra Counties.
I'm Alicia Wilson. I represent the Greenville Rancheria, and I'm a member of the TAP group as well as the Floodplains, Meadows, and Water Bodies group.
I'm Trina Cunningham again. I'm part of the management group, also Uplands Forest and the Tribal Advisory Committee.
Phil Lowell started out with the Forestry Group, wound up with municipal.
Leah Wells, coordinator for Uplands and Forest. Won't take it all back.
Okay, thank you. I was worried about that.
Rick Reynolds, Old Mill Ranch Project Municipal Group.
Lorena Gorbeck with the Maidu Summit and also on the TAC.
And Jeff Greening, Management Group.
Thanks. All right, well, it's great to have you guys all here. This is the first time that the work groups have all been together in this plan process. And I know that Sherry wanted to say a few words about that.
Mainly, I just wanted to welcome everyone and say that what we're doing today is sort of what I've been wanting to do for 6 months, to get all the work groups together and kind of get to know each other. Everybody's kind of been working in their own silo to this point. So welcome, and in particular, thank you for the participation that you've given to this Prop 84 IRWM process. It's had very short deadlines, And the projects that were submitted, as you look at the maps, are amazing. When you look at the spread through the county of where the projects are located, it looks like we've done really good outreach and a really good mix of projects. So I'm really proud of the work that we've done to this date, and thank you for being here, and hope that the results today continue that process.
So I just wanted to, a few logistical things. The bathrooms are down this hallway. There is coffee and juice at the table here, and the handouts are right here. If you haven't signed in yet, please sign in. On your tables are maps. Zeke created these maps of the projects, and then there's various other maps that are scattered around. So when we have the get up and walk around time, please check those out. And Zeke is here to answer questions and to talk through those. Also on your table, there's some the post-it notes, sticky notes. As we're going through projects, we're going to do a brief presentation of all the projects today. As we go through those, if you have questions or things you want to remember, go ahead and use those sticky notes, and then we can we'll use them later to walk around and kind of to jog our memory. So, is there any questions at this point?
Just one comment on the maps is there's lots of Sharpies around, and we encourage you to write on the maps, draw on them if if a project's in the wrong place, or if there's anything that you want captured on the map that's specific to a location. Please do that, and then we gather the notes off the maps and compile them. So feel free to draw all over them, please.
Just wanted to go over the agenda a little bit. We're going to do an update. We're going to hear an update from each of the work groups, and during that we'll give a very brief presentation of each of the projects. We did receive 81 project submittals on step 2. We're also going to hear a brief presentation from Trina on the traditional ecological knowledge. And then we're going to do a breakout session where we have an opportunity to circulate, move around, and talk to folks and talk about project integration, hear updates from the other work groups about what we've all been up to. And then we'll kind of do a wrap-up just before lunch and talk about next steps for the work groups in the year 2 of the planning process. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about project integration before we go into our presentations. This is an important component of the IRWM update process, and something that DWR is really looking for throughout the plan and with the implementation projects specifically. And so in general, project integration is combining of similar projects or objectives so that to come up with regional projects that have multi-benefit and the most impact for the region. So this is an opportunity to look at strategic considerations that may benefit the region as a whole or multiple stakeholders. Some of the benefits, again, a greater impact in the region, better plan implementation overall, and then hopefully some economy of scale too, so that some of the resources of staff, finance, and equipment can be consolidated a bit. So we are going to go through some examples of integration, and I'm going to ask Christy to step in and help me if I stumble here. She helped put this together. These are some examples of what to look for. For example, the cold stream of Poundwood is for fire suppression, water for fire suppression, and then you could look around at the other projects and then come on and see that the Sierra County has a fire storage component in one of their projects. So that might be an opportunity to integrate those two. We have a soil health proposal. You look around at some of the others, there might be opportunity for a soil health component in the resource management plan for the Sierra Valley SCD. And then if you look around some more, you can see that there is a working lands infrastructure, water quality project, enhancement management of livestock, grazing. Those all might key into soil health. And then the floodplains meadows water bodies work group, there's the Sierra Valley Meadow Assessment. And they all just kind of pull together. Those are the kinds of linkages we're looking for. Here's another example of fencing. This kind of goes across several of the categories of projects: working lands infrastructure, enhanced step in, Christy, if I
Yeah.
found right here.
Some of them have broader reach than others. So irrigation efficiency was a theme that really cut across a lot of them. And then click on again, Uma, and you'll see groundwater was huge, right? There were so many that had some touch point on groundwater. So some themes are going to be smaller than others. And then on this last slide, there's a couple, like traditional ecological knowledge and the LIDAR and GIS, that are intended to cut across everyone's projects. So that's an even broader touch point on integration. That's all, it's just to get you thinking still.
Yeah, so this is just to kind of help get folks thinking about the different possibilities that as we walk around and look at the projects. So, Trina, are you ready to do a little?
Sure.
So Trina's going to give us a little description of traditional ecological knowledge.
A lot of people have a lot of questions about traditional ecological knowledge, and so do we as tribal people. And just to make it easy on you from the start, traditional ecological knowledge is based starting in epics of the Earth's history, if you will. And so there's a time called Potato, which was the time before human beings. And the world has progressed since then, since the introduction of human beings into the universe, or into this planet, this Earth, and a very structured methodology. And these structures have been handed down for thousands and thousands of years. So this is knowledge that has been, if we look at academic research and papers and journals and things like that, this knowledge has been more scrutinized and more refined and more practiced than most of those academic journals that we refer to so much. What traditional ecological knowledge doesn't mean is that somebody decided yesterday that they own this piece of property and that the best thing to do is to manage it for willow flycatcher. It's not that. It's like, yeah, that might be a great management strategy for your own type of property, but that's not traditional ecological knowledge. So it's been hard to define. I don't know how many of you guys have read, looked up TEK online or in books and things like that, but it's what we're trying to develop is kind of a larger template of what that means internationally. What does that mean to indigenous people in Australia, in South America, in Africa, in the United States, in Plumas County, and what are some of the basic tenets of that? And so we go back to creation stories, and that's the baseline. And from there, we progress into relationships. And on this map here, I started writing on it finally. And I thought it might be helpful, and it's in pencil, but I looked at some of this area, and I started looking at the Quincy area, and there were just so many things. It was like, I got really overwhelmed. It's like, you know, there's the old village site where the high school is now. There's the old hot springs that used to run into American Valley, and that people would get burned in if they fell into it. But I started looking just like at Milford, and that place is called Wololocum. And Wololocum in our language means yellowhammer. So we know that a type of flicker inhabited that area. And so a lot of these places, like where the Greenville Y is, that's the place where the eels came. That's as far up the river before mining that the eels could come. After mining, the rivers got blasted, the rocks got changed, and the eels, if they still existed, and there weren't dams in the rivers, eels could come all the way up to Indian Valley and American Valley. Well, not to Indian Valley, but American Valley. And so in our creation stories, we were told to go out and to know these places, to name these places, and that's how we would know how to tend these places. And so my efforts primarily will be looking at sharing place names with people. Lily, Yamini. Onululu Yamini is the Diamond Mountains, and in Maidu it means something that's shining on the mountain. And so it's interesting when you look at English and Maidu, some of the concepts are the same. So as we go through, it's difficult for Maidu people or Native people to share certain things because we have burial sites, we have village sites that we know if we put those on a map for people to look at, they're going to get looted. It's just going to happen. And so there is hesitancy. Then there's also places that we're told we're not supposed to be there because there are other things living there already. And they can be to benefit to us, but they can also be of harm to us. And we have to understand how to interact with those things in that place in order to gain benefit and not distribute harm. And so when we name those places, often they're called sacred sites. I struggle with that because every spring that comes out of the world is sacred, you know, but it's a different place. And so if we put that on a map, people, you know, they're going to go, oh wow, well, let's go up to that because that's a power place. And it's like, no, not really. So how we can integrate TEK into these types of projects, you know, it's we're still working on that template of what TEK is and how different it is to each individual in the region. And so we can look at baselines, and the baselines would be the streams, the rivers, the mountains, and those names of those places. And then we can do assessment. Assessment is the geographic location, the current conditions, vegetation species, the water sources in that area. And then we identify Maidu families who have tended or are currently tending those areas. And you may not realize it, but we're out there gathering and tending places. You know, there's camas up in Squawking Valley and Red Clover Valley, and onions, and up on the Yuba or the Humbug summit, there's amazing onion species. So we know where these places are. We do tend them. So who currently or who historically in the Maidu families has tended them, who currently or historically has tended them that's not Maidu, that may have an incredible wealth of knowledge of that place as well. What kind of families or what families, so gold mining families, agricultural families, have a family history dating back to pre-contact or to contact. And that knowledge can be invaluable to us as well. You know, we have stories of salmon coming into Sierra Valley that some of the ranching community there remembers. And we have stories of, in Indian Valley, you know, even the Spurlock, as recently as the Spurlock family, their grandfathers knew how to speak Maidu because they had so many Maidu employees, ranch hands or fence builders or whatever they were. So there's a wealth of knowledge throughout the region of those things. And then, so we have the baseline of the assessment, identifying Maidu families as well as other families, and then prioritizing regions based on desired use. Is this going to be a timber production area? Is this going to be a recreational area? Do we just want to reduce catastrophic wildfire and enhance the understory species of medicinal plants and basketry? Do we want, is there too much siltation happening because of the roads? What can we do? Can we plant cattails or other species that slow siltation and sedimentation down? Municipal services, when we look at areas around the region that are in danger of being burned because of density of fuels, we can work with municipal services. And then also on the filtration systems, there's inflow, water's coming from somewhere and water's going somewhere in municipal services. So what's the inflow and what's the outflow and what are the results of those things? And what can we do to enhance species and water health in those instances? And then of course the mechanisms. What mechanisms do we have? If we in this room combine as many resources as possible, our mechanisms go up as far as economics, manpower, and tools and materials to be used, and wisdom, hopefully. So that's a little brief outline, and I can put these on a PowerPoint if anybody would like to see that outline going forward. I will leave this notebook open as we talk in groups today, but and this is just brainstorming. This is the exciting part for me is we've never had the opportunity as Maidu people in our own homeland to integrate our own knowledge back into a system at a large scale. So this is the process is as new to us as it is to everybody else. But the idea and the knowledge has been held there, and it's exciting to maybe have the opportunity to move forward with that. So thank you. Look forward to talking to you.